What's up, fellow quacks? So, OC lore. I haven't made an OC lore video in quite some time just because I wanted to try out a new format, so I hope you guys like how this video turns out. So in this video I'm going to talk about the Cardling family and Polly. And the Cardling family are a group of characters that I actually made recently. They're not as old as some of my other characters, but a lot of people really love them, so I figured I might as well make an OC lore video about them. And also because their lore isn't as extensive as some other OCs, like, they're a pretty light on lore sort of batch of characters. The only pretense I have to talk about is where they live at and the story behind that, because it does affect the plot line of these characters.
Once upon a time, there were two kings, one of Jack, the other of Card. The Card King wanted to party, but wait. No invitation for the Jack King. Jack King missed the party, so he got real pissed and started a war if he can't have fun. No one should be the water to the king and the stupider king.
Alright, I'll keep this part really brief, but basically, there are two kingdoms. We have Cardsland, the playing card kingdom, known for being whimsical, wacky, and wonderful, and associated a lot with clowns, tomfoolery, and partying, because playing cards, I associate that with like card tricks, magic, and all that. And Gambit, which is the chess kingdom, which is more serious and rigid, and also they have a really serious class issue going on there. So, the two kings, King Jock of Cardsland and King Chester of Gambit, were good friends, but Chester had a massive ego issue. So in short, King Jock loved to party a lot, and he invited King Chester to a party that he was hosting. However, the invitation got lost because he sent it via pigeon, and bad weather caused the invitation to get lost. So Chester never got the invitation, and as a result, Chester assumed that he was intentionally excluded from the party, when in reality, nope, it was because he just never got the invitation. So when King Jock tried to explain to him, actually no dude, it was because the invitation got lost. You know, I was totally up for you showing up to the party. Chester was like, no actually, I don't care. My ego's really bruised, so we're enemies now. And that's why the kingdoms hate each other. I know, really petty, but it's funny, so that's why I made it a thing. So yeah, the two kingdoms really hate each other, and it's resulted in there being this split, because they are neighboring, but a lot of the citizens do like to sneak from kingdom to kingdom. Specifically, the citizens of Gambit like to escape to Cardsland, because Cardsland doesn't really have a severe class issue and is a lot more fun, whereas Gambit is very serious, and if you want to rise up in the social ranks, you basically have to struggle a lot, and you might not even get to where you want to be at. You're kind of stuck if you are born into the lowest class, which is basically a pawn, but I'll get to that later when I talk about Polly. So the kingdoms hate each other, and it's resulted in the massive conflict, so both kingdoms have negative views of each other now, and that was 40 years ago. Time skip to now, the present, which is where our story takes place, and now it's time to introduce the Cardling family and how they're affected by this conflict. Okay, so now it's time to talk about the Cardling family. The eldest child is Spade / Sebastian, and they are a very intense, persnickety, and overly prim and proper person. They want to present the family as like the ideal. They don't like the fact that people in Cardsland are stereotyped as like hedonistic and goofy and lazy, so they want their family to be seen as perfect. But the other members of the family are like, hey, you know, we're good. We're not that crazy, so like, why do you need to be so intense about everything? We're fine. And even if we are seen that way, who cares? We can just live our own lives. It doesn't matter what's going on or what they think of us. But no, Spade does not like that. Spade always wants to control the narrative. They want to be controlling of everything. They really care about reputation, so they're always getting on Club and Diamond specifically, because those two are always goofing off and are always doing crazy shit, and they don't like the fact that since they're aristocrats, they don't like that these aristocratic people are off doing debaucherous, in their words, things. So yeah, it's not great for Spade. Spade is always like on the verge of having a freaking breakdown from Diamond and Club's antics, but also they're very controlling of Heidi because they realize that Heidi is a blank slate because of her condition, so they're kind of like forcing her to be like an ideal person, and it's resulted in this very like crazy conflict between the siblings. Yeah, Spade is like the outlier of all the siblings and in the family in general because their parents are also pretty chill. It's just Spade that's like very uptight about everything. So next we have the second eldest sibling, which is Diamond, and he's probably my favorite. Actual name is Damon, and when I designed him, I was like, you know what? I'll make a sexy jester, why not? He's a very attractive dude in universe, and as a result, he's definitely had a lot of, well, fun with people. He's also an actual jester, like he does do jester-like things. He loves being around circuses and carnivals and whatnot. He's a very fun dude. Like, he's probably one of the chillest people to be around, but also a bit obnoxious, and he does love to rage bait. He's the type of person where he knows how to piss you off. With Spade, oh boy, those two are always fighting with each other. If he's not pissing off Spade, he's having fun with Club or Heart. And despite Diamond seeming like as if he can't take things seriously, he is like a decent person to be around. Like, he's very nice. It's just that, you know, he likes to live on the edge and sort of just sees life as like, well, I can do what I want. I'm my own person, and I think I deserve to do whatever, you know. I'm gonna be myself. I'm not gonna let other people bring me down, which is a nice attitude to have, but yeah, he can be a little intense with it sometimes. So now we have the middle child, Club/Cleo, who is a lover of clowns. She wants to be a clown. She's like Diamond in a lot of ways, but the difference is that she's more like lighthearted and goofy and isn't really like into the more sexual stuff that Diamond is. She's not very flirty, but she is pretty confident in herself, but she's not really interested in all that. Instead, she's more of a drinker. Yeah, she's a drunk clown. That's pretty funny. And like Diamond, she definitely knows how to like make people laugh. She's a very comedic person. Like, homegirl does not take a lot of things seriously. She's always goofing off and being silly, which is why Spade is so disappointed with her, because they were hoping that maybe she would have a chance and maybe that she could be raised as a proper lady, but unfortunately Diamond influenced her a little too much, and now she's goofing off with him all the time. So Spade was like, oh man, well, if we have another sibling, I'm definitely making sure that they end up normal in their eyes. So yeah, Club is also kind of seen as like the disappointment in Spade's eyes, like the potential but lost because she wanted to be silly. So that leaves the final sibling.
Oh, what have I done? My family is going nuts. Nothing but drama, too much shit. I need a heart to call my own. I want a heart it actually soft. Sweet as an asshole. Diamonds, unbreakable polyester.
The youngest sibling is Heart/Heidi, and Heidi is definitely a very interesting character because she was born with a very strange condition. You see, she didn't have a heart. Like, actually, there was no heart there. If you looked in her chest, it was completely empty, like there was a heart-shaped hole. It was actually kind of creepy, and everyone was freaking out because there was like, wait a second, why is this child born without a heart, and how is she alive? So nobody in the family knew what caused it, but they were so rich that they were able to find a way to grow her heart back. So as a result of Heidi not having a heart, she didn't have much of a personality because she didn't feel anything. She was an emotionless person. And guess who decided to take advantage of that? Yup, Spade, because Spade was like, oh boy, so that means I could swoop in and raise her to be the proper lady like she's supposed to be. So Spade basically took Heidi and was like, okay, you're going to be my muse. You're going to be the proper lady like Club was supposed to be. And as a result, Heidi grew up as this doll-like figure. She was always dressed up. She was always forced to do like those stereotypical things that you see in like movies where they have like books being balanced on their heads, they're fanning themselves, they're playing the piano, they're reading books and all that boring stuff. Basically, doing anything stereotypically rich and posh, pretty much. And the thing is, Hart didn't like it too much, but also she didn't hate it either. She was just neutral because she couldn't feel much because her heart was developing very slowly. All the siblings basically were fighting over her independence and her right to develop a personality because they were thinking to themselves, well, you know, she has no personality. She doesn't really know what she's doing, so we need to let her develop on her own. We can't force what we want onto her, but ironically though, Club and Diamond are kind of being a bit forceful. They're always dragging her into things, and they're not really letting her have too much agency either. But I would say Spade is like the more antagonistic side of it though, because they're very rigid with how they want Hart to be like. Now, before I continue with the sibling antics, we need to introduce one final character. Now, I mentioned there was a chess kingdom. There is one character from the chess kingdom that is relevant to this story, and that is Pawn/Polly, but Polly only likes to be referred to as Polly because she hates the idea of being a pawn. So in the chess kingdom, basically, pawns are the lowest of the low. They are the grunts of the kingdom. They do all the dirty work, but if they work really hard, and by really hard, I mean basically suffering immensely to get to where they're at, they can rise the ranks and become a rook or maybe a bishop. But Polly was like, you know, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a pawn at all. I may be a pawn by name, but I'm not a pawn by nature. I'm going to do my own thing. So she ran away from home after fighting with her parents and moved into Cardsland, where she met Diamond, and then eventually Diamond introduced her to Club, and they became good friends because, well, three characters that love being individuals, love being themselves, and are openly very chaotic and stubborn make for a great trio. I would say that Polly's personality is different because she's very rebellious. She does not care about authority whatsoever. She will talk to a king in the most casual way possible. She doesn't like to see people by their ranks. She's going to talk to you as an individual. She's not going to speak to you like as if you're, you know, special, because she thinks that everyone deserves to be talked to as equals because she doesn't like that whole class thing. And also, she's a very creative person. She wants to be a tattoo artist. She's also given herself piercings, and her outfit is also a modified version of like a stereotypical pawn uniform of sorts, because she was like, you know what? I'm not like you guys. I want to be an individual. So she dressed herself up and made herself look cool, and then she left. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you. So now Polly is trying to make a name for herself in Cardsland because there are a lot of people from Gambit who do live in Cardsland, and most people in Cardsland are like chill with it, but there obviously are some people who have some animosity towards them. It's whatever. She's living like in an area where they're more accepting of people from Gambit living there. So yeah, Polly is chill with Club, Diamond, and Heart. However, there is something interesting I wanted to write with Polly and Heart specifically. I was thinking maybe there's a romance developing with them. Maybe as time goes on, Heart starts to develop more emotions and more of a personality, and Polly's like, you know, I'm here for you if you want to, you know, talk about stuff and if you want to learn about love and all that. And Heart is like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. And then, you know, stuff happens. Yeah, basically, that was what I was thinking. But I was like, you know what? We need to add some drama to this because there's not enough drama, despite the fact that Spade is being very controlling and, you know, there's a kingdom conflict and all that. Let's add a little bit more spice to this story. And that's where the cause of Heidi's condition comes in. So Heart's condition was actually because it was a form of revenge from the people of Gambit. Basically, they were using her as a test subject for a weird form of revenge that they want to do, where they're just stealing people's hearts for shits and giggles, basically. They were just like, you know what, let's be evil. Let's just continuously harass this kingdom because we hate them so much. So Heidi was the first victim of this, and over the course of this story thing, more people start to suffer from it, which makes Spade specifically very anxious because obviously, you know, they hate Gambit so much, so they become even more protective of Heidi, which raises the stakes a little bit because, you know, Heidi is starting to become more independent. Her personality is starting to develop more, and also she's starting to fall in love with Polly, and Polly is like falling in love with her, so there's that. But here's the thing, Spade is not aware of Polly's existence at all. They know that Club and Diamond are goofing off all the time, so that adds an extra layer of drama because there's going to be a reveal at some point. And Spade is not going to be happy when they find out that not only is their seemingly perfect sister who they're trying to control is in love with someone from a kingdom that they hate, but also is friends with their siblings. Oh boy. So yeah, I kind of wanted to leave it off at like this cliffhanger sort of thing, because that's how I kind of am with a lot of my OCs and their lore. I like to leave things off in like a way where I can develop things further and just kind of see how multiple endings can develop and whatnot. This is not going to be some sort of like massive thing, I just wanted to make it for fun, but yeah. So, Cardling family has a lot of drama going on, very chaotic, very silly, but also dramatic and sad at the same time. I would say that Heart is definitely like the center of this story. She's kind of the main character because a lot of this centers around her developing her personality and trying to grow more independent from Spade because Spade is so overbearing. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that the lore was interesting enough. I know that this format was a little bit different than how they have been in the past, but I wanted to try something new, and this is probably how things might go forward. With that said, I'll see you quacks later.